My name is Robbie and I'm the chairman of Torphins Community Help, better known as Torch. We are the resilience subgroup of Torphins Community Council. We were formed in December 2021 in the wake of Storm Arwen. Storm Arwen, as you all know, completely crippled the country in many places, and Torphins was no exception. For 5 days we were left without power, helpless to do anything. We got no support from outside agencies during that time because the country, to be honest, was completely overwhelmed. Torphins Community Council already had a community resilience plan in place, but because there was absolutely no power anywhere in the village, were unable to implement it. After that, there was a meeting in the village held by the Community Council, and it was decided that a new way was needed, a new way of doing things. So out of that, a resilience subgroup was formed. I volunteered for it along with several others. We decided that we had to come up with a new plan and a new approach. However, before we could even start to implement any of those changes, Storms Malik and Corrie came along at the end of January and the start of February in 2022. This time we got a little bit luckier. This time there was power to the Lerny Hall in Torphins, and as a result the resilience group stood up and decided that they would do something this time to help the community. That meant getting organised. We only had the bare bones of a plan. We only had 6 or 7 committee members, but we rolled up our sleeves and got stuck in, got the hall opened. We'd already started to have very good communications with outside agencies such as SSEN, and we were determined that the community wouldn't be let down this time. The hall became the centre of that support, of that resilience. We got the doors opened, we got people in, we got them warmed up, we got them fed, and we gave them shelter when they needed it. Luckily, one of the main affected streets in Torphins was very close by. It had many vulnerable and elderly people, and we were able to send teams out and check on what they were doing. SSEN were a great help during this time. We got them to send one of their food trucks to the hall, and over 4 days of a response, we actually handed out over 2,200 hot meals. We also dispensed more than a tonne of bottled water. The reason being that many other communities round about Torphins were left completely without power and were unable to form any sort of response effort. We didn't turn anyone away. Anyone who needed help got it. We dealt with people from communities as far away as Durris, Banchory, Tarland, anywhere. If they turned up and they needed watered and they needed fed, they got it. There was a great learning curve for us. We weren't actually battle ready, and a lot of things had to be done on the hoof. But we showed after 4 days that we could do it. People were helped, people were kept warm, and people were fed. Simple little things we were doing, such as just even filling up hot water bottles and taking them to people's homes so they could stay warm during the night. That gave us a great deal of heart, and we decided we had to take things forward further still. So after that, we had a debrief. We sat down and worked out what we had to do to help this community. So we've devised a new response plan, which has currently just been drafted. We've also drawn up a 10-page guide which will be handed out to every household in the community. We've also set up a Torch Facebook page. We've also got a Torch section on the Torphins Community Council website. And we've set up a Torch notice board in the middle of the village. And we're about to launch a Ready Torphins campaign to help inform people and make them more aware of what they can do to help themselves during an emergency, most likely to happen during the winter. The one thing we have noticed in this climate change is the wind. We haven't had the heavy snows yet that we used to have 10, 20 years ago, but we definitely have the winds, and the winds are the thing that have been causing the biggest problems. They bring down the power lines, they bring down the trees. During Storm Arwen and Corrie and Malik, many roads around the village were completely cut off by fallen trees. Torphins actually has 2 communities. We have the village of Torphins itself, and then we have an outlying community of Tornaveen. During all 3 storms, all the roads between Torphins and Torphins were completely blocked off with fallen trees, and some of those roads took several days to clear. We've reached out to other agencies. SSEN, who I've mentioned before, have been an enormous help and a support over the piece in giving us guidance and advice, and now they've given us practical help in the form of a £23,000 grant, which we are going to use to buy 2 generators, one for Torphins and one for Torphins. And that should ensure that we have a far better resilient response if we're faced with similar situations again. There are 3 key lessons, I think, that we learned from the 3 storms that we've been involved in so far. Preparation, communication, and coordination. Advance warning obviously helps. If we know bad weather is coming, then we can warn and inform the communities and get them to be ready. If a storm leaves us without power, we have to look at how we communicate things and how we get in touch with people who need our help. During storms Malik and Corrie, communications were completely cut off in the village. At one stage, we resorted to using an electronic loudhailer on the roof of a car to tour around the village to tell people there was help available in the Lerny Hall. Simple little things like that. Coordination is key. Our own response plan has a good coordination set up for within the village itself. We know our roles and responsibilities and what we have to do. What we need is that coordination further out from that within the local authorities and the emergency services. I'm going to be totally honest here. We had very little communication from the local authority during any of those emergencies. Our 3 local Aberdeenshire councillors were very good and got in touch and acted as a go-between, but there was no direct contact at all from anyone else. And at times, I have to say, we felt we were left on our own. We have already shared our experiences with other communities in and around Deeside. Sharing of best practice, sharing of the things we've been through, helps us all provide a better response in the future, and that will continue. We're on the road, we're on the journey now. We're not quite there yet. We've still got some things to sort out, but if everyone gets together in forums like this, then together we can get a solution that will hopefully keep everyone safe in the future, no matter what the climate throws at us.